everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am back with an apartment renovation, and we are renovating one of the Pinecrest apartments in the world of Evergreen Harbor, and this is another part of my Color-Drenched series, where I am going through and creating apartments that are primarily using a single color. And today, that color is purple, and the reason for that is we got a bunch more purple items and swatches with the latest Enchanted by Nature expansion pack, and while this isn't really themed after that pack at all, I did use some things from it, starting in the kitchen with this new beautiful tile backsplash that very much inspired the entire apartment. So I really hope you enjoy how this one comes out. If you do and you'd like to download it, it will be available on the Sims 4 gallery. You'll be able to find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You could also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will be in the description down below as well. So this apartment sort of started taking form, and I figured out who was going to live here and what sort of style I was going for in the process of building it, and that's pretty much always the case when it comes to these color-drenched homes, since I don't have a clear idea of the concept other than the color going into it, and I experiment and pull out different things, and this actually ended up being a little bit more modern looking than I thought it was going to be, and it's just really cute. I'm very, very happy with this kitchen. You'll also see I do end up using a lot of brown, like a lot of wood tones in here, because I think it complements the purple so nicely. And I got to use some rugs that I don't typically use, and a new rug. I got to use the rug that has the dragon on it from the latest pack. I think it is so beautiful. I love the purples on it. There's some oranges in there and teals, and I played off of those colors a little bit throughout this apartment, but primarily we are decorating with purple and brown, I guess. But talking a little bit about the Sims that I imagined living here as I was working on this, I decided that there was a young adult that was living here who is really into fantasy novels. They are very, very much into reading, probably spend a lot of time on book talk, and maybe they're dabbling in writing their own books in the future as well. And that came to be originally because of the dragon rug, and then I started adding more books, and I just really liked the idea of that. They also have one of their younger siblings living with them who is a teenager who is more into art. And that's just like a subtle thing in the room. I end up adding a couple of paintings and an easel in there. But the primary focus was on the Sim who pays the rent here. And I just loved the idea of them being really into fantasy books. So we should be adding some books here shortly. First, I am getting some plants over in the corner and figuring out our coffee table. Of course, I did end up using the one from the Book Nook kit that has lots of books underneath it. There's also this beautiful tray from Tiny Living that is available in a purple swatch, so I did have to use that. And then we have stacks of books on either side of the couch, as the Sim doesn't have enough storage for their books. I feel like that's pretty realistic. I don't even read that much, and I feel like I always am running out of shelf space for books and end up having piles around the place. So I liked the idea of that here, and it's a cool item that you can stack up from the Book Nook kit. That's a really good kit. That's one of my favorites. I also used the refined living room kit in here for both this bookcase and the side table that I have the television on, and then I'm just cluttering up the bookcase with a mixture of books and a little lamp that are all in purple swatches. I also decided to add a small pillow onto the armchair, as the couch had a lot of pillows on it, so it felt a little bit out of place that one didn't. And I used some artwork up above the TV from Seasons, which has a lot of orange in it as well, which I thought was so pretty. And I don't very often use those paintings from Seasons because I feel like they're just a little bit difficult to use. And I don't really know why that is, but I was excited to use that there. And this corner table in the hallway, that is from the Get Famous expansion pack, and it's another piece I really like. I just wish that we had more corner units like that. There's a few different shelves in the game, but I always feel like there's not enough. And I think my most used one is probably the one from Cats and Dogs, but I'm always excited when I find a use for one of those. Anyway, right now I am playing around with the windows in the bedrooms, and I threw like a bed in one of the rooms that matches one of the rugs that I had thrown down. And now we are starting to work on the bathroom, and let me tell you, this was a process. I had no idea what I wanted this to look like. I was just like, okay, we're going to use the same tiles and cabinets or countertops as the kitchen. And that's not what I ended up keeping. I did keep that backsplash tile there, but the other walls changed quite a few different times, and then I start pulling out the different pieces from the sleek bathroom kit, which really helped. I really love this sink. I also used the matching mirror, and we have double sinks in here. There's going to end up being the shower from there as well, and the toilet, like the whole set essentially. And then I tried to bring in some more of the purple and the various other colors and tones of colors that I have throughout the apartment. And it does take a while, but it comes together. So I'm glad I stuck with it, because I tend to have like go-tos for how I decorate bathrooms. So whenever I have a bigger space like this, or I'm trying to use different items or different colors, it can be a little bit more difficult, and I can get a little frustrated when it's not coming together, but I stuck with it, and I'm pretty pleased with this space, especially the towels that I used over here in the corner. I thought the purple swatch on them was perfect. I was also able to fit a stacked washer and dryer in this bathroom, which is not something I very often use in apartments, and I occasionally get comments about it that I almost never put laundry in my homes or apartments, and I think the reason for that is because it's not my own experience, so I forget to do it, and also plenty of people don't like playing with laundry in the game, which is totally fair. It's annoying enough in real life having to play it in The Sims. You know, optional is great, but in real life, I don't have a washer and dryer in my apartment, so I don't tend to think to add them to apartments, and I think that's why. But I had so much room in this particular bathroom that I was like, you know what, why not? Anyway, moving on to the primary bedroom, I pulled out 2 different beds that I was thinking about using, and I really like the 4-poster bed. However, I felt like the shade of purple didn't quite match the dustier color I had throughout the rest of the apartment, so I ended up going with this one from Seasons instead, which I think worked quite nicely. And then the curtains in here are from the Desert Luxe kit. I also ended up using a couple of bedside tables here from the Book Nook kit. They have books under them, so I thought that they were perfect. This painting has found its way around the apartment in a few different rooms at this point, and now it is in this room, and that's where it stays. And then I'm just cluttering up the bedside tables. I also have a poof over in the corner, and that ends up being in the living room as well. The purple swatch was perfect, and that one is from Tiny Living. But yeah, on the bedside tables, I have some flowers, a place to put your glasses and your watch. There ends up being a phone over there. And I'm trying to think what else goes on the other bedside table. I know I have this basket of books. Oh, and we have a alarm clock and a water bottle. I'll be swapping that out for the purple one that came with Everyday Clutter. And then over on this wall, I do grab a mirror, and then I get the same armchair that I had over in the living room. I just thought it was a cozy addition, and I feel like every bedroom has a chair in the corner. Mine's pretty much lined up like this. It's right next to the bed, and that's where I throw all of my partially dirty clothes that I might wear again. And then I did include a wardrobe in here, so your Sims do have a dresser they can utilize to change outfits or plan outfits. You can also do that on the mirror, but I do like to add a dresser for realism. And then we are moving on into the other bedroom, where I moved the windows around quite a few times, but the bed in here is from Tiny Living. I think the colors on it were so pretty, and it really matched this rug, and I don't remember what pack this rug is from, but I never used the swatch of it, and I just think it is so pretty, so I was excited to use it in here. I think the oranges and the purples look so nice together, and then I ended up actually picking out this artwork that's way brighter than the rest of the apartment, but since this is for like the younger Sim who didn't decorate the space, I thought it was fine. And they are an artist, so there's an easel in here. I'm going to be getting some canvases on the ground, and then on the other side of the room there should be another wardrobe, and I'm trying to think, I think just a chair in the corner. Yeah, the one from Enchanted by Nature that I tried to use in the living room but didn't quite get to work. But that is pretty much it for this apartment. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. And thank you to my YouTube members for all of your support. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can click the join button below the video or the link in the description. Enjoy the screenshots, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye everyone.